Of all the things I love about the beautiful mess that is the Sonic series, the one that has probably intrigued and captivated me most right from the very beginning is Hypersonic. The fascination itself is actually quite hard to explain. After all, we had Supersonic before Hyperforms were even a thing, and have continued to do so throughout pretty much the entire series. So why is this form, a form that has only appeared officially one time, so special? And I guess what it really comes down to is, Hypersonic made me feel like something more was always possible in these games. New forms and abilities to attain and master, new stories and lore expansion to experience and learn by heart. See, Sonic the Hedgehog meant a lot to me as a kid. He formed such a huge part of the bright spots in my childhood, and some of my fondest memories of those times was just shit-talking with friends about lore and theories for these games, with many of those discussions and headcanon debates inevitably centering around the Chaos Emeralds. The Chaos Emeralds were, and arguably still are, a bottomless well of potential narratives, and seeing them used in increasingly gripping and plot-relevant ways throughout the classic era, let's just say I was hooked. There was an undeniable flow and natural sense of progression here. A seemingly incomplete set that defies Sonic's understanding, finding all 7 and dabbling in a new power, learning a sentient master gem oversees them all, capable of granting or neutralizing their untold power, all building up beautifully to this hypersonic crescendo. And yet, hyperforms would vanish as quickly as they appeared. Back when Sega were violently jamming Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 into their closet of denial, Hypersonic was already there waiting to greet them. And for nearly 30 years, fan theories and mixed messages from Sonic Team would continuously attempt to explain why this is. A fragile house of cards that, frankly, didn't really stand up to any serious scrutiny. It didn't make sense to me. Over the years, the excuses came in a variety of shapes and sizes, trying to explain just why it is that these hyperforms were a one-and-done affair. Some by fans trying their best to cobble together rumors and speculation to help make sense of everything. Others from official sources that you can easily tell were sick of being asked about this. A long-perpetuated rumor was that the form and its hyperflash caused reactions in epileptic people. How that would mean Hypersonic can never return, I don't know. That's what those epilepsy warnings you see everywhere are for, after all. And his hyperflash is very much intact in Origins. I'm sorry, but that one just won't fly. Another was the simplification of an overcomplicated story, bringing 14 emeralds back to a more reasonable 7 to avoid confusion. Now, this one never quite sat right with me either. For starters, there were never 14 emeralds. The 7 Chaos Emeralds were amplified and turned into the Super Emeralds. Not a whole lot to be confused about there. We were all able to make perfect sense of it back in the day with only wordless cutscenes and no internet. I guess I just find it more than a little strange that they worry about something like this being confusing for us when pretty much every other gaming hero can have multiple powers or even a brand new gimmick in every game. It just feels like a truly shallow excuse. And if avoiding confusion in the series was so important, why introduce things like the Phantom Emerald, I mean Ruby? Nobody's gonna convince me this isn't just a magic mushroom in emerald form, I'm sorry. Why split classic Sonic into his own character? And proceed to confuse whether or not he's from a different time or a different dimension? Why let the two worlds debate go on for as long as it did? Why give Tails a freaking hyper form where it was super before? I know Tails' forms aren't canon in the game, but still, come on. And then there's the debate that divided a fanbase for nearly 3 decades. That fabled debate of Hydro City versus Hydrocity. Or as Nick thinks of it, Hydro Shitty. The Sonic series is about as straightforward as a bowl of spaghetti. Always has been. The fans have known this for a long time. It's a big part of the reason there are so many interesting discussions around this series. And I think it's time Sonic Team just embraced that fact. But I think the most egregious excuse of all is the endless fear of Dragon Ball comparisons.
Essentially, the reason that they don't do Hypersonic as much anymore is because they were worried that if they kept introducing new forms, it was going to get eerily similar to a certain Japanese anime in which characters keep getting, and they didn't want to go down that road.
What?
Comparisons between Sonic and Dragon Ball have been around for ever. 7 Chaos Emeralds, 7 Dragon Balls. Special stages, King Kai's Planet. Super Sonic, Super Saiyan. The creators of the original games weren't exactly subtle about this, and nor should they be. Being inspired by other creators isn't wrong, and certainly isn't uncommon. And this didn't even stop after the classics either. Sure, they've buried my boy now, but Silver and future Trunks anyone? They even used the Chaos Emeralds to bring someone back to life in that same game. I mean, come on. And of course, even more recently. Yeah, we don't want to be compared to a certain Japanese anime, do we? Nah, that would be the worst. As we, near enough, move for move rip out fight scenes for our game. And all this talk of endlessly introducing new forms with ever-increasing powers? I'm sorry, but who the fuck ever said to do that? Nobody is saying roll out Hypersonic in every game to snap his skittle-colored fingers and send the bad guy to taste the rainbow in the sky. Nobody said there ever had to be a form beyond this. Just bring him out on the rare occasion that the situation truly calls for it. A time where all else fails. Maybe in a story where Supersonic gets defeated during the opening scene. Not like Unleashed, I mean actually comprehensively beaten. What better way to establish the villain as a total badass, all the while investing the audience in the story ahead. Make Hypersonic a trial to attain. Something Sonic can't just do whenever he wants, and I think Hyperforms could work really well. Sonic's forms aren't like Dragon Ball forms anyway, where once they're unlocked, he can just do them at will. He has to actually attain these forms each and every time. Those emeralds be slippery bastards, which immediately negates a lot of the spiraling power progression that Dragon Ball can suffer from. I mean, it's 2 forms, Super and Hyper. Not Super Saiyan, Ascended Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, fucking Rose, and all the other grades and variants in between. Basically, I don't think we've ever been given a single reason that makes sense for Hypersonic being a one and done deal. This form was special to a lot of people, and the lore it brought about helped pave the way for a lot of the really great stories in the years that followed. Call it anecdotal, but a lot of people seem to want Hyperforms back, and a quick search of the internet only makes that fact all the more clear. Surely what the audience, and more importantly what I want, is crucial, right?
What's the most common request you get from fans?
Chow Garden?
Is there a Chow Garden in this game?
No.
As a kid who was totally enamored with this series already, Sonic 3 and Knuckles just hit different. Sure, we all know the whole lock-on technology thing was a band-aid job now, but back then, that whole concept just blew away us simple 90s kids. Plug your copy of Sonic 3 into this godly black plastic tombstone, and you are now ready to set out on the most epic and contiguous Sonic story so far. Picking up right where you left off after a year of vanilla Sonic 3, the game wastes no time setting everything in motion. In a nice change from the Sonic 3 portion of events, in Mushroom Hill, it's finally Sonic's turn to get a jump on old Great Boy. Spotting him acting suspiciously at a tunnel below, Sonic waits for him to scarp her off before scoping it out. And what he discovers inside
Close the door!
is a special stage ring. But this isn't like the giant rings we found before. This one is pulsing a bunch of different colors. And rather than being warped straight to a special stage or awarded 50 rings, you are instead warped to a strange crystallized palace. The mysterious music that starts playing letting you know you've stumbled across somewhere special. See, these giant flashing rings serve as secret entrances to Hidden Palace, home of the Master Emerald. The excitement I got as a kid when I first laid eyes on this chunky Big Papa Emerald was off the charts. Seeing it resting magnificently in that huge shrine of crystals, all I could do was wonder, what is its purpose? Why are these smaller shrines surrounding it? And why Knuckles was trying so hard to hide it? But before your mind had time to fully process what you were seeing, apparently in reaction to the presence of the Master Emerald, the Chaos Emeralds you had worked so hard to recollect after your earlier mugging begin to float up and away, spinning wildly overhead before suddenly disappearing. As they do, beams of light shoot down from above and populate the 7 empty shrines with dull, lifeless crystals, and your quest to restore power to these dormant super emeralds begins. In contrast to the violent way Sonic was separated from the emeralds at the beginning, this time it happens in a much more peaceful and harmonious way. And like the good guy he is, Sonic doesn't resist this in any way. He just stands back and watches. You sacrificed the Chaos Emeralds and your hard-earned super form, but you just knew there was a chance here for something far greater. And as you painstakingly restore life to these sleeping emeralds, that hard work and sacrifice is rewarded with Sonic's ultimate form. As a kid, I would have been hard-pressed to explain any sensible way you could improve upon Sonic's super form. In both looks and ability, Super Sonic is a total badass. His quills resisting gravity with the pure chaos energy coursing through his body. And he's immeasurably faster and stronger than he already was, even gaining the power of flight. So any potential upgrade had some pretty big shoes to fill. Unlocking Hypersonic that first time was surreal. I remember my friends and I thinking, sure, maybe we'll get Super back, but none of us ever imagined we'd get a whole new form for our troubles. Hypersonic pulses in the colors of the emeralds that gave him this power, with brilliant sparks of light revolving around him. His speed and power have been elevated so much that he now leaves a trail of after images behind him as he moves. The Hyperform even allows for underwater breathing, eliminating perhaps Sonic's biggest fear and weakness. But probably the most important ability of his new form is the Hyper Flash attack. In what is effectively an insanely overpowered double jump, Sonic creates a huge flash of light that engulfs the entire area, destroying all on-screen badniks instantly. It's weird, but when I look back at this attack with the hindsight of Sonic Adventure 2, I often wonder to myself if this was actually an early and extremely basic form of chaos control, where Sonic has accidentally tapped into the power of the emeralds to teleport himself, without understanding exactly how or what he did. Or maybe it's just some delightful retroactive headcanon. Either way, Hypersonic somehow vastly surpasses the power of Super. And while it was a long and painful 14 special stage trip to get here, I think it's fair to say that it was worth it. After owning just the Sonic 3 portion of this story for nearly a year, when I jammed those two cartridges together for the first time, I knew I was about to experience something truly special. Discovering Hidden Palace and unlocking the 7 Super Emeralds just melted my tiny child brain. I wasn't prepared for a story like this. I'm not even sure it would have had the same effect had the two games released as one like Sega originally intended. Maybe because according to Iizuka, in that case, the Super Emeralds wouldn't have even been a thing, and we'd have missed out on Hypersonic and the cool extended Master Emerald lore. But going through that giant glowing rainbow ring for the first time and discovering the Emerald Chamber in Hidden Palace is something that honestly will stay with me forever. And that moment of realization when you actually find it in person during the later parts of the game is just fantastic. You go through Lava Reef Act 2 wondering, why is that weird music from the special stage rings playing? The stage itself, with its crystallized caverns, does look familiar, but when you eventually reach the Master Emerald Shrine, it all clicks together beautifully. After facing off against Knuckles, you both catch Robotnik stealing the Master Emerald, and finally everything makes sense. This is what he's been after this whole time. This is how he manipulated Knuckles into fighting Sonic. This is what Knuckles was so desperate to protect. Knuckles is the last remaining guardian of the Master Emerald, and after learning Robotnik had tricked him, places his trust in Sonic to help him put things right. And he does. The Master Emerald has a deep connection to the Chaos Emeralds, and by extension, the Super Emeralds as well. You'll notice that when all the Super Emeralds are restored, the Master Emerald will actually glow in all the scenes it appears in my mind representing the harmony between these amazing gems and the beings who gather them. In Sonic lore, it is said that only a member of the Knuckles clan can fully utilize the Master Emerald, as only they have the ability to communicate directly with this sentient stone. Yet somehow, Sonic seems to surpass Knuckles in this regard, immediately making a remarkable connection with it. He's not a member of the Knuckles clan. He's not even a native of Angel Island. Yet the Master Emerald responds to him when he brings all 7 emeralds. It has the power to nullify the power of the Chaos Emeralds should they ever fall into the wrong hands. But with Sonic, it chooses to amplify their power, boosting them into their enhanced super states. For me, this illustrates perfectly Sonic's pureness of heart, deemed worthy by this godlike relic. Knuckles and Tails do have their own emerald enhanced forms as well, but Sonic's hyper form completely transcends what our other two heroes can achieve. Only he flashes the colors of the emeralds. Only he has brilliant sparks of energy surrounding him. And only he has the ability to seemingly warp at light speed using the Hyper Flash. Sonic managed attuning himself to the Master Emerald after arriving on the island with nothing. The Chaos Emeralds immediately stolen by Knuckles, the guardian of Angel Island and curator of the Master Emerald, the sole survivor of a clan who have watched over this gem for time untold. Yet even he can't achieve quite this level of connection with the emeralds. Besides the obvious fact that Sonic is the main character, so of course he'll get the best of everything, I think this all feeds back into something far more subtle. Something many of us have probably seen 1,000 times in Hidden Palace and never given much thought. This mural seems to prophesize the theft of the Master Emerald by Robotnik, but it doesn't depict Knuckles facing him to retrieve it. See, he was far too naive and unwittingly invited the enemy in. The mural shows Sonic, which implies that there's something exceptional about him, and that he will always have an unexplainable connection to these strange stones. Hypersonic will always represent a very special part of the Sonic series for me. Something that a true hero earned in a time of dire need, helping show these stones are more than just trinkets that blindly grant power. The true power must be earned by those who are worthy, and that there's always something watching over this power and maintaining balance. This lore just works too well to ignore. Yes, this game can be finished and the day saved with just Supersonic, but the Master Emerald only glows when all 7 Super Emeralds are restored. And Angel Island doesn't return to its original altitude when they're not. And no amount of excuses from Sonic Team will ever change that for me. The move towards meaningful universe expansion and the focus on deeper lore in Sonic 3 and Knuckles was just fantastic. The introduction of the Super Emeralds and the hyperform they made possible just fit perfectly into the world we were presented. This whole story helped us believe that anything is possible in Sonic's universe, that the secrets of these mysterious stones could in fact be endless, going on to fuel rich narratives for decades to come. While it may have been steeped in a thick gravy of unfiltered bias, I hope I made a halfway decent case as to why I feel Hypersonic should return. Hypersonic and Sonic 3 and Knuckles will always be very special to me. They came into my life at the absolute height of Sonic's popularity, when there was no medium that wasn't totally dominated by Sonic in my life. Cartoons, comics, video games, toys. I couldn't get enough of this guy and his crazy shenanigans, and the complete experience of Sonic 3 and Knuckles ensured I would be on a lifelong journey with the Blue Dude. Hypersonic was a great example of a true hero achieving his best self through hard work and sacrifice, facing a gauntlet of trials and tribulations to selflessly help others, even when they didn't make it easy for him. And through the pureness of his heart, Sonic surpasses all current understanding of the Emeralds. Takashi Iizuka has gone from stating things like the Super Emeralds were just added to give us something to collect when combining these two games, to actually acknowledging and confirming their existence within the canon.
What happened to all the Super Emeralds?
They're still in another dimension.
And while I'll do my best to avoid causing my hands to bleed from grasping at that straw too tightly, it's still a big relief to hear after so many years of Hyperform denying from official sources. We may never officially see Hypersonic in a game again, but for me, the form will always be a big part of the reason I love this series as much as I do. But I'm actually eager to hear what you guys think. You've listened to my nostalgia-fueled ramblings on these forums for nearly 20 minutes now. What are some of your best memories of Hypersonic, or Knuckles, or Tails? Is the form half as important to you as it is to me? And while I mentioned how I'd like to see the form make its grand return, I'd also love to hear ideas from you guys on how it could come back, be that in Frontiers or a future game. Or maybe you'd prefer it didn't return at all. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found yourself enjoying the video, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to hit that bell icon so you never miss a video. You can also join the channel Discord or follow me on Twitter. All the links are in the description. But for now, if you've lasted this long, a big thank you for watching. And as always guys, take care.